Hi, I'm Debra DeGregorio, and I'm an artist in the Akron, Cleveland area, a visual artist. I work in mixed media on paper mostly. I have a big printmaking and drawing background, and some ceramics. Materials are, for some reason, I guess they're probably important to every artist. I always think it's interesting, everybody has something to say, and you have to say it how you say it. I did a piece once that was with 1,000 pins that I glued sequins on the heads of, and I had to use 2 kinds of glue. It was so tedious, and I thought, but it's that was important to whatever it was I was saying at the time, and that was how I had to do it. And I thought, well, sometimes you just have to say it really tediously, and pointy, and meticulously. So materials are crucial. I have a strong, like I said, strong drawing and printmaking background. And then later, after I kind of got away from a printing press and a print shop, I started getting more into mixed media. And even when I think to myself, I teach drawing, I love drawing. And when I think, my undergraduate degree is in drawing and printmaking. And when I think, I'm going to just draw. I just forget that that's what I said I was gonna do. And at some point, 10 minutes in, I think where's that box full of scrap paper, and where's my gouache, and where's that weird brush that's bent at a funny angle? And so for some reason, the language of mixed media helps me to express things in a way that feels fresh. And I think that that's kind of important to me, is a sense of spontaneity. I don't want to that I'm surprising myself. So having a variety of media helps that a lot. I read this definition, or heard, I think it was on a podcast. This one woman was talking about Buddhism, and she said in Buddhism, in Buddhist art, they used to decide how successful a piece was by how much the artist was transformed when they were making it. And I feel that way. For me, the pieces that I love the most are the ones that I didn't anticipate. Something happens in there that I just didn't anticipate. There'll be some surprising mark, or element that I put on there that, kind of pops me out of familiarity. And so that's an important part of my process. Basically, I don't have any preconceived ideas. Even when I do, I just forget what they were, and I just start reaching for this or that. I feel like I'm always trying to express something. It's just out of reach, Like when you're trying to explain something and you're looking for the word, And so I'm always thinking, no, blue, but not that blue, not paper, So it's a real intuitive process of response, creating something and then responding to it with something else. Maybe all artists are like that, I don't know. This exhibition, Disorganized Attachment, I'm really interested in psychology and the way we think and the way we process our lives and all the stuff that happens to us in our lives. I'm so interested in that, I feel like I could just not do anything. I could literally sit there and think about, I think I do actually sit there and think about it on my porch with my journal, hours and hours, while everybody else actually goes out and lives their lives. I'm thinking about it all the time. So this body of work, and I think a lot of my work, reflects that process. I'm always trying to process some sort of internal experience, externalize it. And when we externalize an experience, we make anything. We are expressing something, first to ourselves as an audience, and then to whomever looks at it. So in that way, I think all creative efforts, poetry, dance, all of them, music, all of them, ceramics, architecture, they're all efforts to express something. So they are all about connecting. First, like I said, with something internal that we kind of pull out and make physical or make external, and then with a viewer, or audience or other people or whatever. So connection, and I think the reason and probably we all do this form of connection of making art is so that we can overcome a feeling of disconnection. So that was all, I was ruminating on all of that and making this work. This is sort of a body work that I kind of accumulated over time. I hadn't shown a bunch for a while. And so, so the Disorganized Attachment is the title of the show, and it refers to the ways we can, well, attachment style would be like the way we actually create intimacy, connect or disconnect. And disorganized attachment, this is like a very layman's dumbed down. My own therapist wrote LOL to me when I told her how I was using disorganized attachment. But to me, that's an interesting language, but it's like a kind of attachment that's a little bit ambivalent. It's like, I want things to come close, I want to express, I want to connect, and at the same time, I'm like, building a wall, running away, which is a pretty normal human experience. So this body of work, and most of my work really, reflects that that process of putting something out there, responding to what I put out there, seeing it, and then the pieces themselves within the work, I feel like they're sort of falling apart or they're coming together. This piece is kind of emblematic of a lot of my work in that, again, it's about things sort of disintegrating and then at the same time kind of merging. It's like things are kind of forming and unforming, maybe like in a chrysalis or something. Space is very important to my work. Negative space, emptiness, and everything having enough room to move, to feel like it's either falling or floating or moving left to right. Another thing is I like to use found objects. I enjoy the way it pops me out of the context of a drawing. Like a drawing is an illusionistic space. It's like I'm saying, this is my world, come in, and in this world there are red lines, blue lines, and la la la. And so I feel like the viewer, if I'm lucky, is willing to come with me into the world and say, oh yeah, okay, it's a space and there's marks floating about. But then when we recognize this old ledger paper, or this is one of those tags you get at the dealership when they're working on your car with a number, it pops me out of that illusionistic space and back into reality. And I enjoy that play, like the back and forth play. So that's part of what I like about this piece. I think everybody loves tiny things, or a lot of people just love, there's something magical about tiny, like it's so non-threatening. Like a big piece of rope in a big wheel of rope, like on a ship or something, that could crush me. It would be hard to lift, but a tiny little wheel, it's like play, and so it kind of goes a lot, it's got a little bit of to me, it's kind of got a whimsical little, like funny little wink, like a garden gnome or something like that. This piece was kind of a long one in the making. A lot of times I work really spontaneously, and it's a kind of a fast process where I work, leave, come back, work, leave, come back, leave, work, but altogether the amount of time isn't that long. This piece is called Above, and I'm referring to this sort of glacier. I think of it like a glacier, an island sticking out above a body of water. And it's sort of the discrepancy between what's external and maybe what's internal. This, I think I'm also sort of talking about the way it is to be a human, the way you have the part that's above that you're more comfortable with. It has a rainbow. Hey, everybody likes a rainbow. But then the parts below are maybe a murkier, and make less sense. Maybe are more interesting. Okay, this one is called Ruin. And this one I started during COVID. I was alone, and like a lot of people, like that whole isolation period was preceded by like other personal, like really difficult things. So it's probably why I started thinking about, now that I talk about this, probably why I started thinking about, when I started thinking about attachment and detachment and feeling connected and disconnected. Like a lot of people during that experience, it was hard to feel connected. I was unable to make art much and feel at all good about it because I just felt so confused and estranged and stuff from everything. But I could get myself to do, like, to make one rectangle, one rectangle, one rectangle, one rectangle, and just do that. And that was satisfying, after, a week of that, to have a little wall, it's interesting, right? Because it helped me to understand about how how things can be creative in all different ways and at all different times. The process can be different, depending on the circumstances. And so my upcoming show called Co-Relate at Akron Soul Train, August is my residency, so I'll just be posting and working on a bunch of stuff. And then the show itself is in November. November. And I'm gathering shares, which I've been posting about a whole bunch, from people to talk about when they felt connected or disconnected, which relates to this show. This show is sort of the birthing, I think, of that idea. So it's like carrying it out even further. So yeah, I guess I was just kind of broadening. I feel like this work is a lot about me connecting to myself, and then asking for shares is just sort of making it even bigger, which feels really good. That's probably it. Yeah. Okay. Yay. Thank you.